over and need nursing home level care, but want to keep living where you are, check out Providence Elder Place PACE. This program offers healthcare, housing, transportation, and recreational activities. There are no co-pays or deductibles, and it's covered through Medicare and Medicaid. Providence Elder Place PACE works to keep you healthy and in your home. Call 206-320-5325 or visit providence.org Elder Place. Providence.org Elder Place.
Rainier Avenue Radio presents All Music, All Day Saturday. Music, All Day Saturday.
This is Edwin Bailey, Bulldog Blue.
Jazz from the Cabinets.
That's right. It's time once again for Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy.
Start Time.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Paul Pierce. This is Start Time.
Saturdays, all music, all day. Reggae Hour. K-Fox Night.
You looking for the perfect beat? Yeah, it's the beat of the Fox.
Fresh Juice with D-Money in there.
Myself, D-Money.
Nice Size Patron.
Taylor Hart.
This is Spencia. Northwest Rap Game.
DJ Medina. Chad Cheddar. Northwest Rap Game.
Sergio LaCour's Love Line.
It's Sergio's Love Lines with Sergio LaCour. Go to the phone line. Tell her who we talking.
Sea Monster Radio. Mo Jams is your jam.
We're live. Welcome to Mojam Mondays. This is KZ of KZ Music Media. Caller Goddess for Mojam Mondays.
Just my opinion. God is inspiration all day and all night. Saturdays on RainierAvenueRadio.org.
Dealing with COVID-19 is uncharted territory, and everyone has different challenges. People may feel anxious, down, or overwhelmed. For some, these feelings can lead to changes in sleep patterns, an increased use of alcohol or drugs, or withdrawing from the people around them. If you know someone who's having a hard time coping, you can help by reaching out to talk and listen. To learn more about how you can help someone in need, call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-TALK. Brought to you by the state of Washington.
You're listening to RainierAvenueRadio.org. Check us out on social media, Facebook and Instagram, RainierAvenueRadio.world, and on Twitter at RainierAvRadio.
Welcome to The Sentiment, a thought-provoking show with discussions that consist of life's experiences. We are bringing thoughts and perspectives out of captivity and isolation into spaces that promote awareness, healing, restores hope, and proclaims victory in everyday thinking and living. Come sip with me.
Hello. Good evening, you all. Welcome back to The Sentiment. It's your girl, Latrice Chenee, and I'm so excited and so honored that you have chosen to come spend your Wednesday evening with me for just a short while. You are listening to The Sentiment on Rainier Avenue Radio.world, and today on The Sentiment, we have a lovely young lady who is going to come and have conversation with us and let us in to the inside of the world of pageantry. And I am so excited. Among other things, she is phenomenal. She has a plethora of wisdom and life experience, and I'm just excited and honored to have her on the show. So you all do a big favor and help me welcome the lovely Tasha Haskins.
Whoa.
Hello. Hi, gorgeous.
Well, hello there to you. I see that your hat and my sweater match. So
yes.
Is awesome. I'm very honored to be on the show. I'm excited. I'm very familiar with Rainier Avenue Radio, and I love that it exists. And so I'm excited to be on the show.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure with you, and it's just beginning. All right. So I'm so excited that our paths have crossed, and I'm so excited to just hear about what it is that you do and what you have been involved in for some years. But before we get into all that, Miss Lady,
all right.
What are you sipping this evening?
So I was sipping. It's already gone, but
We just got started.
I know. And I forgot I was supposed to have it throughout the show. And so what had happened, I'm just kidding. Okay. But it was, don't make fun of me, but it was a little bit of Amsterdam with Crystal Light. Great. Because vodka in and of itself plain doesn't have any carbs, and neither does Crystal Light. So it's like my way of psychologically feeling like I'm doing the right thing.
That has been the story. I've had several people tell me that vodka and tequila doesn't have any carbs in it, and it just tickles me, right? The way that we rationalize.
That's what I tell myself. Don't mess it up for me, though. I mean,
it tickles me. It's all good, honey. It's all good. Well, it's gone, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Because it's no longer. Anyway, so typically I do like to switch it up, but for the most part, I keep it very, very simple to the foundation of which I even started this. There's a whole story around it, but I have my tea, and this is actually the set. Yes, this is actually the set from my my grandmother. So I have two sets. Both have passed, my grandmother and my mother, and I have a tea set from her, and I have a tea set from my grandma. So that's kind of
okay. So now I feel
we had while sipping tea at the table a few days before she passed is kind of one of the reasons and the main purpose and intention and passion behind the actual show. So that's why I say come sit and sip with me.
I'm more talking about vodka and juice, and you're like,
I've had people, honey, on here with so many cocktails and wine. I've had a glass of wine on here before.
Can you start the show over? I'm sorry, no one knew.
No, you are free to sip what you choose. We are not only sipping from what we're drinking, but we're sipping from your life experience. We're sipping from your thoughts, your very sentiment. We're sipping from your perceptions and opinions. And so it's very important that you bring yourself. And I don't want you sipping on nothing else but what you want to be sipping on. So I appreciate
I may or may not
the
feel
authenticity.
So I was sipping on water, just for all you guys. It's in the pack.
So Tasha, first of all, let's just get into this. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's start there.
Yeah, I mean, again, it trips me out that we have not crossed paths before. I mean, I'm like, how do we know like 895 people in common and we've never, I mean, I obviously am embellishing the numbers, but you get my point. Because especially the Black community in Seattle being so close knit but I'm born and raised in Washington State. My parents were from Tacoma area, but they met and married at Wazoo. And so I grew up in Pullman, and we kind of migrated over the mountains into Western Washington. And, I am just a born and bred Washingtonian and very involved in all different types of things, from, playing basketball down to community things. And, but in the, as pertaining to the show, it's interesting because I've been 5'10" since I was like in 6th grade.
Okay.
And it was devastating. I mean, I looked like my dad. I was 5'10". I was like, oh my God, I look like a man. Like, this is horrible. Like my life. I did not like my life physically. And so I remember my parents trying to put me in modeling. It was like Barbizon or something. And it was like
Barbizon.
Yes. And it was like, I think I did a photo shoot and I just wasn't feeling it, but I struggled a lot. So in my late 20s, my mid 20s, I was cashiering, Latrice, in this an office supply store in Bellevue. Okay. And this lady came up to me, she was buying paper and she's like, have you ever thought about being a plus size model? And I didn't even, the concept of plus size, model, and Tasha in the same sentence was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, what does that even mean? Like, why would anyone want to take me to model anything? Like, do you want them to buy it? Because if you want them to buy it, do not have my face representing it. Like, that's how I felt about myself. And this is like at 25 years old. And so it took me a month to go down to this agency in Seattle. Like, she gave me her card and it took me 30 days of staring at it. Now, mind you, when most girls are like, I want to be a model. And I was like, I wanted to be the first woman in the NBA. That's what I wanted to do. So that was out the door because I had children instead. So I went down there and they had me like walk and take pictures. Like, we're just going to see if our clients like you. And I'm like, okay, I don't even know again what that means. And kind of find out they did. You know, my first modeling job was for JCPenney's. And I did stuff for Nordstrom and Lane Bryant and Torrid and all kinds of stuff in going throughout my 20s. And that's how I fell into the pageant industry. And I was asked to judge a pageant. Now, Latrice, the only thing I knew about pageants was Miss America. So I'm thinking, I'm judging Miss America. Are you serious? And they're like, no, you're not judging Miss America. It's a pageant for young girls or teenage young girls. And it was like 400 well-spoken, like community involved young women at this hotel in the Seat by SeaTac. And I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, this little girl has her own community 501c3 for autistic children. Like, and she's 10. Like, what am I doing? You know? Yes. And so that's kind of what got me to look. I was like, I wonder if they have something like this for me. So I looked at Miss America and it was like, you can't have been pregnant. You can't have been married. You know, they have a bikini competition. I'm like, okay. And then also historically, I found out about Miss America that not until 1970 did they even allow Blacks to compete. Now, I know that's just like 2009. So they actually had a rule that was like, you can't be Black and compete, you know? And so I was kind of like, you know, do that. And so I thought, well, I'm a plus size model. Maybe they have a plus size pageant, right? Right. So I started Googling it. I found Miss Plus America. And that's kind of when I started getting involved in competing and all of that. But I also did a lot of research, Latrice. I'm a research person. I'm kind of people think like, oh, you're a diva, you're whatever. And I'm like, no, actually, I'm a nerd. I'm a whole nerd. I love like watching sci-fi. I go to Comic-Con dressed up like I'm
nice. Come on, Comic-Con dressed up.
Yes, I was the Black Princess Leia for 3 years in a row. You can judge me however you'd like to.
I love it. Yes. I love it. That's one thing I've always wanted to do with my boys. So
fun. Yeah. And I'm just a nerd all the way around, but I like to research. So women that I look up to in different industries, such, you know, I know it's common and cliche to say like Oprah and others, they have backgrounds in pageantry. Like they were discovered. So Oprah, was discovered, I mean, literally when she won Miss Black Mississippi in 1968, right? So there was a Miss Black America because, you know, Blacks weren't allowed to compete in Miss America. And so winning her pageant title is what got her on her first radio interview, which then they were able to discover she's good on radio. And then kind of like everything just started going down. And it also provided her scholarship money to be able to go to college, because obviously her mother and her grandmother were not in the position to do that. You know, you have Vanessa Williams, who was the first Black Miss America, Halle Berry, Beyonce, like a lot of these women have backgrounds in pageantry. I mean, literally Beyonce's first performance was like in a little girl's pageant, like talent, like the talent competition. And you learn how to speak, you learn how to carry yourself, you learn how to represent yourself, you learn what it's like to be rejected, right? Because everyone doesn't win, you know, and that's how the world is. So there's all these things that you learn. And so I was like, okay, I need to be able to rationalize why I'm 28 years old with 2 kids wearing a size 20 trying to do a pageant. So I had to get my research and like have my rebuttal ready, you know?
Right.
Because it wasn't really a thing, especially in the Black community. And especially, you know, my immediate family is very big on education, very big on the traditional pathway to success. And so I already, you know, had kids out of wedlock, and I already didn't like all the way complete my degree in the timeline. So I was already kind of like the black sheep in that regard. So then saying I wanted to be a 30-year-old pageant queen was like, really?
I can see how that may have sounded.
Yeah, they were just probably like, you know, my dad, rest in peace, I miss him. He was kind of like, okay, sure, like if that's what you want to do, let's do it. But a lot of people thought it was like ridiculous. Like they were like, but when my platform, my very first platform, Latrice, was about empowering single moms to get off of the welfare system. Like that was a big deal to me. And I was getting invited all over. I was speaking at work first things at DSHS. Governor Gregoire invited me down to speak at the Capitol Rotunda. Like I was doing all these different things. I was heavily involved in the Central Area Community Festival. I was actually their entertainment coordinator for 5 years and on their board. Like it just opened up so many doors for me in the community because I just had this crown and sash on. Like
absolutely,
it was like the power of the crown. So when I realized how the power hit me, I was like this. So it was more like a tool then I just want to be cute and like wear a crown. It was like, this is a tool. Like,
it's absolutely the power of the influence, right?
You know, and just saying, oh, I'm, you know, now I'll be honest, over the last, you know, decade and a half, I have acquired my own brand and my own name. And now I can say I'm Tasha Haskins, and people are like, okay. But in the beginning, it wasn't like that. I was like, okay, I'm Miss Washington Plus America. Oh, okay, sure. You know, like, I mean, it was like a whole, I could just literally like, you know, send out my press release or whatever. And just saying I was me wasn't gonna, who cares? But it's like, oh, Miss Washington Plus America is speaking for, you know, single parents in the community. Oh, great. Sure, we want this interview, want that interview. Come on, New Day Northwest, you know, let's do this. And it just, it opened up doors. And I think
I like what you said, Tasha. And pardon me for the interruption.
No,
I love what you're saying. Hear her, you all, when she's speaking to the power of the influence and the position, but it being, it's not who you were. It is who you are, but you are more than just the crown. And you wanted something that you can stand as yourself, not with the influence of the crown. You want to be able to speak boldly as yourself and have that power of influence as yourself, as your brand, as your representation of you. And you're not just, right? You're not just Miss Washington Plus America. You are also, I am Tasha Haskins, who also happens to be, you know. So that's very powerful. A lot of people like to hide behind, or not even hide behind, and sometimes hide behind, but what their position is, right? What their role is. And you are so much bigger than your current status and what you're currently doing, right? There's so much more purpose on the inside of you. That's just not, I'm not just an author. I'm not just a mom. I'm not just a wife, right? I'm not just a project manager, right? And I think people really try to pin you to your title or to your position. And there's so much more to people than just what they're currently doing.
Well, and we live in a society, you know, where if you don't have a title or you're not something, then you're not anyone. And I think this is a really good segue, Latrice. You know, while I was doing all those different things, the pageant industry also was therapeutic for me. So when I won Miss Plus America in 2010, that was 8 months after my father died in his sleep unexpectedly at the age of 49 years old. I know he wanted me to be successful, and I literally placed last place my first year competing, second to last my second year. And then I won the title of Miss Plus America in 2010. And it literally, if you watch my crowning moment, I'm like, it's for him, you know? Yeah. And I know that entire reign, I was about my father. Everywhere I traveled, everywhere I went was that. And then the second major title I had, I was actually getting out of a bad domestic violence relationship. I was actually living in the Tacoma Rescue Mission. I don't know, I'm sure you know missionary Debbie Jones. At the time, she was volunteering with them. I love her so much. I just called her Mrs. Jones, and she was okay with that. And she would come and visit me because she volunteered for the Tacoma Rescue Mission. And I was placed in one of the housing places there with my kids after I'd fled that situation, pregnant, getting ready to have a third baby. And, you know, for some reason I was like, I don't know, I wanted to show my kids that even though we're in this circumstance, you can still do the things you want to do. So I decided to compete again 5 years later. And the Tacoma Rescue Mission hosted like this going away party, like in their community room. And I fundraised for everything. And there I was, like with a brand new baby, breastfeeding in between clothing changes in Atlanta, competing for this title that I ended up winning. I was in People magazine. It was crazy being able to share my story. And feel like I competed as a homeless person. I mean, I was placed about a couple months after that, but it was like, okay, I've used pageantry literally to kind of, you know, and then this most recent title in 2020 during the pandemic, 2018, I hit a very low place, Latrice, where I actually didn't even want to do this thing called life anymore. Like I was like, I'm over it. I'd rather be with my dad in heaven, my unborn children in heaven, my brother, people that really love me are in heaven. So I'd rather go there. Right. And I almost was almost successful in that. And so I started, I don't know if you know who the Millers are. Beaver and his wife, but they're in the mental health industry. Okay. And I reached out and I'm like, is it true I'll go to hell if I end my own life? This is where I was at, beginning of 2018. And when you talk about beauty, I realized that, what people don't understand is like, of course, if God's gifted you and talented you, you're going to always have a certain level of success because of those gifts. But you're never going to be able to maximize them all when you're broken and you're hurting and dysfunctional. That's and you're not truly giving your all to him. And that's right. And I was there, and it's like, and so I started my journey. I admitted myself into an outpatient program. I took a leave of absence. I was in therapy twice a week. I was going to classes. I mean, hardcore. Yes. I was doing all these things. And I took about a 3-year hiatus from all the glam, from all the public, from all the stuff. And in 2020, into 2020, I decided I wanted to celebrate by doing a pageant. Like, I want to celebrate reaching my healing crescendo, actually now being beautiful on the inside. Right. Dealing with the trauma that so much, especially in the Black community, this is like my mantra actually is, but in the Black communities where we have so much pain, whether it's sexual abuse or all these different things that because we're talented, we're going to, take a look and keep on ticking. I was like, I don't want to live as a cripple anymore. Like, I could still live, but do I really want to walk with that limp? No, I want to walk. I want to be at my full potential. And so I took that time to do that. That 3 years flew, and I got to celebrate turning 40, announcing, my book, which is, it's Choose You, Change Your Path, Walk in Your Purpose. And then being
coming in December, y'all.
Yes. And an international competition where I competed against women and all across the world for like the ultimate curvy title called Mrs. Curvy. And I ended up winning that title. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. It just completely changed my world. But it was finally, I felt an illustration of how the beauty on the outside reflected what I was on the inside. They finally were parallel because there's so many, and that's what God, obviously, through the pageant industry, I always tell people all the time that pageantry is a microphone to my ministry. Now I coach, and these girls know I'm hardcore. I'm like Jillian Michaels, okay? I'm not Randy, I'm not Paula, I am Simon, okay? But I still get to speak into their lives. I get to pull them out of them. God opens doors for people, and I'm at VIP here and this and that, and I get to reach lives that I wouldn't be able to reach in the four walls of a church, and I love it. And so now it's become not just about, my passion and being beautiful and everything else. When I'm looking all hot on the red carpet or whatever, I get to have conversations with women that are hurting. The entertainment and beauty industry is the most hurting, toxic industry in the world. These women look gorgeous and they hate themselves. And I get to have opportunities where I get to speak with those women and utilize all my crowns and all my accolades as a way in, again, as a tool to operate in my gifting and my calling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You all, we are here with Tasha Haskins. You're listening to The Sentiment on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. And she is sharing with us the world outside of what we see, the perspective from her eyes of beauty pageantry, being beautiful inside out. And she just has said some amazing things about the journey of healing, the process of healing, her story of redemption and resurrection and restoration. And it's been so beautiful to hear you, Tasha, speak to that and the truth in that, right? Like, you were in a very, very, very dark place. You were hurting, and you were able to get into a place of healing, and God allowed you to take all of that and turn your ashes into something extremely beautiful. He gave you beauty for ashes, very literally and figuratively. He's placed you in a position where you're able to heal others. And I always say, Tasha, that God has not just made you beautiful for a reason. He has not just made you beautiful to be beautiful, right? He's made you beautiful for a reason. And sometimes how we present can allow us to get in the door.
Right.
And like you said, you can use all those things, but to get to the greater purpose, and that is to plant seeds of healing, plant seeds of hope, plant seeds of restoration, plant seeds of peace and joy. And and of self-love, and that's so important for women, especially in this season of life. And so that is very beautiful. So I thank God for your beauty for ashes, and that you were willing to trade that and allow him to heal you from the inside out. And that you are very present to do the most amazing things that you are doing. I can't wait to read your book. Also, if you all don't know, Tasha has a show. It comes on every Tuesday at 7 p.m. live, and that's YouTube and Facebook, correct?
Yeah, yes.
The Tasha Haskins show, y'all. I checked it out last night. She is a kick in the pants and have such a big personality. I absolutely love it. Tasha, you've already, I love the organic flow because it allows for the very raw to come through.
Yeah.
And to me, the whole purpose of the sentiment is for that. Like, I love when you're able to just speak to your story and healing can come from that. And believe it or not, you have spoke and planted seeds of hope and healing and self-love, even in the midst of this short time. And it's blessed me tremendously to remember that there is purpose in your pain, and that he is indeed the healer of broken hearts, and that you can have something beautiful from something broken. So that has blessed me on this evening. Thank you for being transparent. Thank you for being open to share your story. Thank you for being the beautiful woman that you are. Thank you for showing up as your authentic self in all your spaces, because people need to hear the truth, and they need to hear from people who actually have the experience.
Yeah.
So I am so grateful for you saying yes to the call of your life.
Well, I'm excited to finally be operating in it.
That's girl.
And I just want to share with the women, anyone that watches the show now or watches in the future, I want to see more Black and brown people in the pageant industry, especially in Washington State. Anyone in the pageant world, if you say Tasha Haskins, they all know who I am, because I'm like one of the few people that, and I would love to see, there's so many powerful, stories and things. I mean, there's something for everyone. And I would love to see us not make that, like, normalize that, just as excited you are to see your 6-foot son in the 6th grade, maybe take you out the hood and go to the NBA. I would love for you to have your beautiful daughter who is well-spoken, who wants to be a doctor, who wants a scholarship money, to invest in her like you do your son for the AAU team, okay, for Rotary or wherever he's at, invest in your daughter. Yes, I went there. Invest in your daughter to maybe enter Miss Washington or Miss, the team, where she can, learn the things that actually it takes to do this thing called life. And last quick testimony, I have a good friend of mine. She's probably really well known in the community, but she is an educator. Her name's 𝖓akilah Stewart. She wouldn't kill me if I said anything.
Absolutely.
I've known 𝖓akilah since 7th grade, but I tricked her into doing a pageant. At the time, I was actually running the Miss Washington Plus America pageant. I was a franchise owner, and I tricked her into doing it. Her mom was thrilled, because getting 𝖓akilah to get dressed up was like a pulling teeth. And so she did it. And at the time, I think she was just a teacher. But anyway, long story short, she ended up winning my Washington State pageant. Then she went on and she won the national one. I was like, and I literally converted this kind of tomboy, singing her butt off girl to like a whole beauty queen, right?
Yes, and she is absolutely that.
She is. And what she came back and told me, though, she said, Tasha, do you know when I went and interviewed, I forget what role it was with Seattle Public Schools, but she said there was a whole table of people. And she goes, I've never been so confident to walk in there and tell those people who I am and have a conversation with people about what I bring to the table and why I need to be running that school. And she learned that skill set to be able to present herself, because she has all the degrees and all the accolades, but how to actually put that out there and say that she learned through competing as a 30, or I don't know how old she was, 35 maybe, year old woman. No, that was 2012. So like 28, whatever it was, that's where she acquired that skill. There are women who have started businesses and all kinds of stuff. So she's a pillar in our community. So I had to bring her up. And she will tell you that I forced her to wear dresses. Her mom loved me for life, but she was like, I don't want to do my makeup. I don't care, But now, you know, it's definitely, she can look back and see how that was beneficial in a real life situation. So anyway, I would love to see more women of color getting involved. Please reach out to me. There's something for everyone, from young girls, not toddlers and tiaras. I'm talking about quality programs, to being a Mrs., if you're curvy or whatever you believe in. If you're a doctor, there's Dr. America. I just judged a pageant of people that have doctorates. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, so anything, please let me know. I'd love to see more people of color involved in the industry, especially here in Washington State, and really starting making waves and more outside of just the sphere of influence that you may already have.
Absolutely. And a shout out to Mrs. Monroe. We love you, Makila. So, Tasha, it's been an amazing time. And unfortunately, our time is up.
Yes, ma'am.
It makes me so sad because I want
that's
more.
why my show is an hour, okay? I'm sorry.
Thank you so much for tuning in, you all, and sitting and sipping with me and the lovely Tasha Haskins. Please, please, please take the time to tune in to Rainier Avenue Radio. After this, we have Clean Greens Living. I try to say that every week and I mess it up. Clean Greens Living. Please tap in, tune in, and make certain that you're checking out the high school games this week, especially Garfield. Go Bulldogs. It's been great. Thank you all.
It's just different.
Thank you for listening to The Sentiment. Please join me next time with the next topic and the next guest that graces us with their presence. In the meantime, be blessed and be gracious and kind to yourself and others. Mwah, mwah.